Thomas Jefferson said, an ignorant or uninformed society
Yes.
that is also free has never been and never will be.
Now, what does it mean to shape governance in your everyday life?
From my own perspective, democracy is not about casting votes every few years, right? It's a continuous process, right?
Yeah.
Simple actions like staying informed about what's happening around you, what's happening in your community, in your society, right? It goes a long way to show that, hey, that you're actually engaging in the democratic process of what's happening in your country. Democracy is about participation, and you have to participate by knowing. You know, then you discuss, you participate in that.
Preview.
Hello there and welcome to another Youthacy episode on this very bright, beautiful Monday. My name is EP09. Youthacy is brought to you by Ready to Talk TV and podcast. On this show, we empower young people to be effective community organizers, democratic mobilizers, and productive change agents. I'm sure that sounds like you. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about everyday democracy, how Nigerian youth can shape governance into their daily lives. I mean, this is quite relatable to everybody because sometimes democracy seems like an overboard conversation, like it's something very far-fetched, something very big. But we're going to be learning how you and I, how your friend, how your brother, how your sibling, how your parents can actually shape governance in their daily lives. I'm joined in the studio by a seasoned expert in the conversations we are having today, someone who genuinely loves the country, someone who is very interested in the democracy that we are now talking about. His name is Chimaobi Okoro. He's a member of a youth-led non-profit development organization, Ready to Lead Africa, and I am certain that you enjoy all that we have here for you today. Chima, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So good to have you.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you should just tell us a little more about what you do.
Okay, I'm a brand identity designer, so I do graphics, right? Then I use that graphics to craft the identity of an organization, a company or a firm, even personal branding as well. So that's what I'm majorly into, right? So graphics, brand identity design, even it also extends to website and app identity design.
Oh,
right?
that's like UI UX design.
Yes, to incorporate this brand into whatever and everything a firm or an organization does. So that it will be relatable, it will be easily recognizable by their clients and their customers and their audience as well.
That's great. So you have to really understand what each brand is about for you to effectively project the brand identity to the public, right?
Of course.
Okay, that's interesting. So how about your work as a Nigerian, as a citizen of Nigeria? You're as someone interested in the governance of. I know you do a lot of research. You learn a lot. You know a lot about our history, about what is going on in government, the different level. You know, just tell us about that.
Okay. As regards how my work connects to the democratic process and the political scene in Nigeria, right?
Yes.
So branding, as we as creatives, we have unique ways of sparking awareness, right? Amongst people out there, amongst citizens. Like just for example, a simple logo can have a powerful message, can extend a powerful message to the people. A logo or artwork that is about maybe inequality, about justice, about accountability, even unity, right? So when these logos or artworks are beautifully crafted, they elicit that emotion. They show, like for example, a logo that has a raised clenched fist, right? Is showing something like struggle, right? It's showing something like fighting on till we get what we want, right? We also have, for example, the national peace symbol that was launched last year,
by Ready to Lead Africa.
By Ready to Lead Africa, by the way. So you could see the peace sign a hand holding up two fingers to
Yes.
depict the peace sign.
Yes.
Those are ways graphics and branding can, send out the message that, hey, this is what we want in the society. This is what you should be supporting. So come together, let's rally around this idea and send this message out, right? So it comes together to show the collective thinking and the collective will of people and what they are advocating for. So that's how my role as a creative and as a brand identity designer. So we brand movements, right?
Okay.
We brand movements. We brand movements that people support, right? So we are like we use our skills, our tools to represent what people are fighting for.
Okay, that's quite interesting. You know, I mean, creatives, you guys are able to communicate certain things to a wider audience. Because a lot of people are able to understand pictures, you know, videos more than some of this text that just that has a lot of cumbersome message, that has a lot of complex words. But when we see some pictures that, just like you said, that has a hand, has an arm up like this, or the peace symbol that just goes this way, you know what it's trying to communicate. And you know, somebody has to be able to understand what they want to communicate, to effectively communicate that to the larger audience. So you're doing very important work, you know, when we're having in these conversations that we are having. Now, what does it mean to shape governance in your everyday life? That is such it sounds quite abstract. Like, how can you shape governance in your everyday life?
To me, that doesn't sound abstract at all.
Okay.
Because I want to use it, like this question, I want to answer it from a me perspective. I'm seeing myself as you asking me how I can inculcate governance and democracy in my everyday life, right?
Okay, yes.
So for me, in fact, it's not just for me, but from my own perspective, democracy is not about casting votes every few years, right? It's a continuous process, right?
Yeah.
Simple actions like staying informed about what's happening around you, what's happening in your community, in your society, right? It goes a long way to show that, hey, that you're actually engaging in the democratic process of what's happening in your country. Because democracy is about participation. It's about awareness and dialogue. Then another way is, okay, you are now informed by listening to news and reading articles about what's happening. You now go ahead to discuss this news you've heard, this information you've garnered with friends and family. So that is actually a powerful act. And it usually has a ripple effect, because you discuss with a friend or family, they may have their own circle outside the family or your friendship. So they go discuss it. So they take your insight and maybe insights derived from the conversation they've had with you and some other people. They go to another circle. They say, okay, this is what's happening, and this is my analysis from what I discussed with other people. What do you guys think? And it just goes on. It keeps on expanding till it now builds into a collective opinion, right?
Yeah.
It now shapes a society's thinking. So these are just simple acts. You made a conscious effort to stay informed, to seek out news, to know what's happening around you, because what's happening around you, given enough time, would eventually turn out to be what's happening to you. So if you don't get to understand what's happening around you, you might not really understand what's happening to you in the long run.
That's a very interesting concept, actually.
Yeah. There's a saying that goes like, we know what we're doing, but what's doing us, we don't know. So that would be the case if you don't really know what's happening around you and how it's shaping your decisions and how it's affecting you. So this is just simple simple acts, staying informed, discussing what you heard and what you read. So when we do this, we are also kind of building a culture of accountability, right? We are not saying, okay, we are saying to our leaders, we know what's happening. We know what's going on. We are not ignorant anymore, right? So our leaders, we know that, hey, these people, I have to be on my toes because these people know what's going on. They know how my policies are affecting them, right? These are just simple ways of inculcating a governance and democracy in your daily life because democracy is about participation and you have to participate by knowing. You know, then you discuss, you participate in that collective dialogue, right? Simple and but very effective. Yes. So that's how we should in our daily lives. In our daily lives, the first step is to get informed. Thomas Jefferson said, an ignorant or uninformed society that is also free has never been and never will be. Right?
Yes.
So democracy doesn't thrive in ignorance. So you have to seek out knowledge. You have to know what's happening. You have to know what democracy is all about. Right? Simple action. So I'm advocating to youth. Know what's happening around you. Be involved in democratic process. Know the bills that are being passed.
The policies.
Policies, right? Any cumbersome word you don't understand, maybe economic terms and political terms, you could search, right? And know what it's all about so that you know how to maybe start a conversation with it and know how to speak to it when the time comes. Right.
All right. That's very interesting, Chima. What I love about what you said is, how what is happening around you will soon start happening to you. That is so real. It made me think back to certain things. In fact, I don't want to derail from this conversation, but when we even look at family dynamics, right? People tend to create the kind of families they came out from, even when they don't want to, or when they don't even plan to, or when they don't think they are doing it.
Yes.
So very, very likely what is happening around you will soon start happening to you. So you have to be intentional about understanding what is happening around you so that you can then intentionally create your own reality and experiences. Because if you don't like what's happening around you and you're not intentional about debunking it, casting it down, it will start happening to you. Right? So, that is a very important thing to note. What is happening around you will soon start happening to you.
Given enough time.
Yes, given enough time. So, you have to pay attention to what's happening around you so that it doesn't happen to you if you do not want it to happen to you.
Yeah, and then again, I want to add that, we normally, every day, even the political discussions we do have in the cab, maybe with colleagues, co-workers and friends, we normally complain about our leaders. Our leaders did this, they are corrupt. But we tend to forget that these leaders are not aliens. They grew up around us.
Yes.
Amongst us.
Yeah. True.
They ate the same food. They are speaking the same language. Some of them attended the same schools, right? They have the same religious values. Right?
Yeah.
Same ethnic, cultural values. They just happen to get there by maybe through their own sheer will and perseverance, or their charisma, or their intelligence, or by godfatherism, by support, or whatever way. But they are there now, and they are not performing up to expectation. And we're saying our leaders, but we tend to forget that our leaders are the products of our society.
100%.
They came from us.
Yes.
So when they are there and they are not doing what we want, they are actually like projecting.
Yes, a reflection of us.
Exactly. So as a society, there needs to be a massive reorientation. We need to inculcate the values ourselves that we expect to see in our leaders. So that when they get there, those are the values that they would use to work, and it would actually work for us, not against us. Because you look at Nigeria, how can we have a succession of bad leadership. Different people from different ethnicities, different religions, right?
Yes.
But different families, different values, they come in there and they kind of conform.
Do the same thing.
Why? Because Nigeria, we've not even, for ourselves individually, we've not like defined what democracy is to us individually.
Yes. It's a copy and paste thing.
It was foisted on us, right? Throughout our history, we've not really had democratic rule. It has been kings, right? Emirs, Abbas, Ezes, Igwes, them, right? After that, colonial power, which was also a dictatorship, came into play.
Yeah.
After colonial, we were just handed a democratic government that we are not used to. We were not used to then.
Yeah.
We are still not used to now. Right? And you could see why there were some altercations and change of power from democratic to military rule, because we are still struggling to balance. How can people have a say in what we know? Let's come in and, enact our own laws and make sure we execute. But military comes in and you'll be like, okay, I think these people will be more effective. They come in and they still go through the same phase, the same corruption that made them to overthrow a democratic government, a civilian rule. They would come in and exacerbate it. Now there will now be more cause for a revert back to civilian rule, and it just keeps on repeating.
Like a
it's just a cycle. So it now shows, it begs the question, what is really wrong? That is, we have not defined to ourselves individually what democracy means to us. We are not used, even in our families, you see a man having this authoritarian rule over his family. We're not used to, entertaining other people's opinions in what we do, right? So, our leaders, you are a leader, I am a leader.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In my own life, in my own circle. I have to start that now.
Yes.
I have to start showing those values.
Yes.
I have to start putting in the work before I even get to that top.
To that top.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I get there, it wouldn't be something so new to me or so different or strange. It would be just a continuation of what I've started doing from scratch. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely agree with you, Chima. Absolutely. I mean, you've raised very interesting points. And that's why people will always say things like, we deserve our leaders, right? Because to a very large extent, in our small businesses, in our small circle, a lot of us are not even honest. We don't practice the integrity that we expect. We can't
ethics.
be held accountable. We're not transparent with things. Some teams, let's even come to the workplace. Sometimes you see management not being transparent with the people, right? And it's a multifaceted problem. And like you said, we have to now start reorienting ourselves. There have to be intentional value reorientation, intentional culture shaping, so that we can move from where we are to where we want to be, and it will take long, intentional efforts. That's what I think.
True.
That's what I think. Thank you for sharing those very beautiful insights, Chima.
Thank you.
So now moving on, I mean, you spoke about this a little, but I want us to go deeper into the conversation. How can young people use their creativity to foster conversations around governance and, make people to be more interested in political conversations as well? So how?
That's such an important question, right? Youth, right?
Yes.
You and I'm a youth, you're a youth.
Yes.
Right? What we're doing right now is one way, right? Then again, creativity has always influenced people. It has always been utilized in influencing political movements, right? Look at Fela during his time. He would combine music with activism. So as creatives, as a creative youth, if you believe yourself to be creative, I believe everybody is creative. Depends on the aspect of creativity you apply yours. But as a creative, coming from a creative angle, You can be an artist, you can be a musician, you can be a graphic designer, such as myself. You can be an artist, a visual artist.
Yes.
You can be even a poet. Now, someone who a political aspirant, like someone who is interested in politics, might think, hey, I'm not a creative, I'm more into economics, policies and governance. But when you speak, people are moved, right?
Yes.
You are gifted with the gift of the God. When you stand your ground, when you mount the podium, people experience this grandiloquence from you, right? That is an art, right? Speaking is an art.
Yes.
The art of oratory. You are creatively, right? Passing a message. You are creatively spurring people, the citizens, to action. You don't just come and make a speech and go and people would feel what you're saying. Look at Martin Luther King Jr. I believe, look at Obama, where he gestures and hits his points, right?
Yes.
That is art, right? You can be a spoken word poet and you come and talk about politics. You write a poem on politics and you deliver it excellently well and people feel it and they will be moved. You're a musician, right? You come out, you sing. Do you know what you're doing? You're taking a very important topic bordering on social issues, on political issues, and you are putting it into rhythm, timing and rhythm.
Yes.
And adding melody
to
and
it.
harmony to
Yes.
it.
People are attentive for a while, for a longer while than they will normally when you're just speaking plainly to them.
They are taking it in bit by bit. It can be what we call a subliminal message. It's entering people's ears. They might be at that point just interested in the harmony, the melody, the rhythm and stuff. But play it over and over again, they start getting the message.
Yes, it's doing something to them.
Say, in his song, Fela talked about this. It's true. And what he said back then is happening right now. Back then, they were just vibing to it. But it made it more acceptable to the ears, more relatable, right? Movies. Using movies, videos, well crafted, well directed. You as an actor, you play your part very well, you depict your role, your character very well, right? People will feel it. You as a movie producer, you say, no, instead of making movies all the time on love and any other lifestyle movie.
Chima, do you have anything against love?
I don't have it.
That was on a lighter note.
No, but you can even incorporate a political message in a romance movie, right?
True, very true.
You might say, let this not just be all about love and emotions and stuff. Let me also connect this emotion to politics, to what's happening to our societal issues, right? You as a performer, a dancer, a percussionist, right? You as even someone who just interacts and makes content on social media. For example, we have issues of open manholes in Abuja. You can decide to make a creative content. You can come, if you're a dancer, you can come and dance around manholes.
True.
Be like, hey, look at our manholes and you perform some dance, salanta and stuff on it. Like, this one is here on this so road and this one is here on this road. So you make a lot of content. You are creating awareness that something is wrong with our roads in Abuja. Our manholes are empty. These are death traps. So creativity has always been a tool for activism. And we as creatives, I'm talking to myself, I as a creative, I know and I believe I have the power, the tool to blend art and activism together, right? And by doing all this, by using social media, by lending my voice, by using my creativity, I'm actually incorporating social responsibility, civic engagement, civic responsibility into my everyday lifestyle. Because this is what I do, this is what I live for. My creativity is my passion, is my life. And when I blend activism and civic responsibility into these civic acts and actions into it, I'm incorporating it into my lifestyle. So that's how creativity can work in promoting good governance and making people be aware of their social responsibilities.
That's again brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant submission right there, Chima. It's very important for us to, intentionally tell our stories. Like the manhole thing you said, I wish we have a dancer that is listening to this right now and able to do that. Because I've not seen, any of that. I've not seen such a thing. And there are a lot of manholes in Abuja that the covers are not found. We
know.
cannot find, we can't, like, it's incredible. It's sad. You could just fall into something, a ditch in the middle of the night,
Yes.
in a place that should be safe. So it's a problem, and actually we should now start speaking to these things from a more unconventional, stance and point of view and way of communicating. Because it seems like people are tired of just listening and hearing. Some don't even understand what you're saying. But maybe when you act it out, all right, when you do some creativity around, when you draw it out, when you sing it out, maybe a lot more people will be able to understand what the problem is, why this is wrong, why we must now start actually collectively speaking against certain things, and why we as a people must stop doing certain things. So that's very great. So you spoke a little about the importance of social media, right? How you can use social media to amplify this. But I want you to go deeper into that conversation, right? Because we've seen that people become influencers in the twinkle of an eye. Just, over the night, someone is already gotten to influencing status. And we all can be influencers in our own little way. People usually think that, because they have 100 followers, they cannot they cannot influence in any way or say anything. Now imagine a room filled with 100 people. That's a crowd. That is a crowd.
It's a crowd that can actually do something huge, something big.
So let us speak to the importance of social influence as creatives, as young. So the conversation is not even about creatives, right? The conversation is about Nigerian youth, how Nigerian youth can inculcate democracy and governance into their daily lives. So let's speak to that from that point of view.
Okay, so gladly, I'm so glad for that question, right? Then again, creativity, we have to also connect it somehow to youth, because it's during that youthful stage that creativity is so much like utilized, is so much pronounced, because youth, their brains, that's when their brains are very sharp, right? And very the neurons are sparking the right way.
The right way.
Yes. It's actually, and there's energy to back it up.
Yeah.
There's this youthful energy to back it up.
Yeah.
So there's no way we can say, let's just say, okay, let's just focus on youth. I'm trying to combine both because I'm coming from a creative angle, right? Now, social media. Social media right now is more of creativity. For one to hold another person's attention, they have to be creative with their content, how they deliver it, right? Because it's just about scrolling, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And if your content doesn't make sense in the first 2-3 seconds, just swipe up and they keep on going. For you to hold someone's attention, attention right now is even the currency.
Yeah, so it is the currency.
You have to be creative about it. And how do we use social media? How do we utilize this powerful force of social media in this digital age, right? we all are influencers. Truth be told, everybody's an influencer. As far as you're on social media, as far as you've made up your mind to go on social media, to open a social media account and you start posting content, you are an influencer. Just give it some time, you start getting followers, people that are vibing to the content you are putting out there. Now we don't need to have millions of followers to make a difference, right? You can just, I myself, I can design posts, visually appealing posts that make someone, or campaigns, right? That make someone stop and have a second look at it. And those campaigns can be on maybe election, right? Give election data, break it down, remove all the unnecessary information, break it down, and give people what they really need to see in a visually appealing way. They get the information maybe about number of voters, registered voters and stuff, right? I can also as well have a campaign on, or just have series of social media posts explaining policies, breaking them down, removing all the complexities, right?
Yes.
Showing us, or showing the my audience, this is what it's all about, right? We as youth, we are the largest demographics on social media, especially when it comes to creating content. Like, the older generation might be on social media as we are, but they're mostly consuming it. But we are the ones churning out content more, right?
Yes.
What are we sending out there? What are we creating? Are we creating things that would also in turn make our societies better? Or are we just creating things that will make people feel good for a moment and then they go back to a dysfunctional society?
Because we have the power to shape the narrative.
Right? As I've said about the manhole, dancing around the manhole, that's one way of communicating that something is wrong in our society. Something is wrong here, right? Youth can lend their voices, even sharing content. You first engage with content, just mere sharing an important content on social issues in our society, retweeting a news, right? Or even posting your own comments, your own thoughts on a social issue or something that is happening in the society as at that time, goes a long way, is powerful, goes a long way in showing that, hey, you are politically responsive, right? You are noticing things that are going wrong in your society, right? Another way is dialogue, whether it's offline or online. Participating in these dialogues gives you a new perspective to things. You might actually think like, okay, what's happening is as a result of this. Maybe you've heard it from someone, maybe someone you trust, like your father, and you might not know that your father is actually speaking from an ethnic angle, or how
there's some bias in his conversation and communication.
Yes, or how it affects your family directly.
Yeah.
Maybe a new policy is cutting him off from making more money or getting a contract, and you'll be so bitter about it. No, and you think that you would think that's all about it. That is wrong. That policy is wrong because your father says. Then you go online or even offline. You engage in dialogues, and this policy is fleshed out, and you get different perspectives to it. People give their own comments. You'll be able to just look at it. Okay, this is how it is. This is how it is. If you didn't engage in this dialogue, how would you know? You just have a single story.
Yeah, it's one point of view.
Right? And most of these dialogues are happening on social media. Right?
Yes.
Most of them are happening. That's where you go on Twitter, you see
so many X space.
Sorry. Go on Twitter, X, that's how I call it.
Formerly known as Twitter. X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, thank you for that correction. So you go on X, you see a lot of discussions on political issues. If you decide not to be on X or you're not on any social media platform, how would you know? If you don't make the conscious effort to at least talk about it with somebody, how would you get a different perspective? So one way is one, sharing what you think is important news on social media. Two, giving your own insight on what's happening, right? Another way, I made mention of maybe some words, some terms you do not understand. You can just feign ignorance, or maybe you're actually ignorant about it. You don't really know.
Yes.
And you would not have time to go researching or trying to read articles. There are people ready on social media to explain things to you. You can just make a video or tweet. What's fiscal all about? I've heard about fiscal year. What's it all about? I've heard about foreign reserves.
What are we talking?
What are we talking? How
Yeah.
does it affect me as an ordinary man? Right? I've heard about assent to a bill, scaled second reading. This. I really don't understand. Can someone help? People are readily available on social media platforms to explain it to you. That's one way. And as it's being explained, it's not only to you, because other people are seeing your
viewing
post.
as well.
They are viewing, they are reading, they are also getting informed just by you just doing that single act of asking, what is this all about? So it has created a ripple effect. A lot of people now know what that thing is and how it's affecting them, right? These are ways youths, because we seem to be aloof about what's happening around us. We just want to jaye, have fun. Even we can utilize our jaye to push our messages. Or even,
I absolutely agree with that.
Right?
Yes, we can actually absolutely utilize so many things to push the message. We just have to be creative about it. And just like you have rightly said, as young people, we have been blessed with this brain that is able to creatively think about multiple things in multiple dimensions. Yeah. So thank you. Chima, from our conversations, you've spoken about this issue from a lot of point of views, right? Both from education, awareness, social influence, like media, creativity. It's all encompassing. And I absolutely love that this conversation has been multi-dimensional. We've been able to look at it, not just the conventional way that we are trying to, that it may have always been known, but we have said, okay, if this doesn't work for you, you can do this. You're not a creative person in that sense, but you're able to creatively do things. I think creative as a term has been, monopolized in certain way, that people who are creative in lab, creative in industry, creative in school, they don't see themselves as creative, because creative now seem like, it's just the art side of things, just the painting, is the sculpture, is the singing, is the dancing. But then creativity, like the root word, the term creativity is thinking, innovation, coming up with things, and that happens everywhere. That happens in CSOs, that happens in schools, that happens in labs, that happens everywhere. So we should all, consider ourselves creative. To that extent.
Yes.
Chima, we had a really great conversation, but I would like to ask you this. So we've spoken about how speaking about how we can inculcate governance in our daily life as Nigerian youth. Now I want us to bring it to more professions. Let's look at from as a banker, as an accountant, as a chef. I want you to highlight a few professions that you're comfortable highlighting, and tell us how we can actually inculcate this governance into our daily lives as professionals in this different field.
Thank you very much. It all boils down to personal values. Right?
Yeah.
I so much love that question, honestly. You are in an organization. I think you spoke about it from the very start of this session. A decision has been made by management and it doesn't look transparent enough to you. Having that courage to ask questions. Why is this like this? Why are we doing this way?
Yes.
This decision, this policy in this organization is going to leave some people out. It's going to disenfranchise some groups.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this decision not favoring the women in our organization?
Mm-hmm.
You guys know that this decision is going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you consider it?
Yeah.
Why are we not considering it? This policy might affect people with disabilities.
Mm.
Why didn't we consider them before making it? So having that courage to ask, not being afraid of, I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to get a query, or the boss wouldn't like me. No. If we continue that way, we wouldn't even have the boldness, the courage, the conviction to ask our leaders what they are doing, to demand accountability from our leaders. Because it starts from little.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. If you see people that are curious, naturally curious, and they go ahead to maybe make a huge discovery, people like Einstein, people like Galileo, or these scientists that made huge scientific discoveries, their curiosity didn't start at point.
That's true.
It didn't start when they were already grown up. It started from when they were little. They had to look at something, question, why is this way? So it starts from you. You have to build it in yourself that I wouldn't take anything and everything I see just the way it is. I have to question. In your place of work, you see your boss or somebody, your seniors, even somebody, a colleague that you are really good in good terms with, doing something unethical. And because it's your person or your boss.
Now we.
You wouldn't want to say. But you also know that you go to church, you attend, church or mosque, and these are the things that preached. Hey, avoid sin, avoid any unethical behavior. And most of us are religious in this country. But you see it's happening around you. You are seeing it because it's maybe someone, higher in rank, or your person you wouldn't want to offend. Person you usually gossip with. Like, let me just overlook it. No. Why would you overlook it?
You overlook it so that they overlook your own. That's why.
See?
So that therein lies the problem.
The problem. So that is where it starts. If you do that, if you are able to question, if you are able to admonish, say, no, this is not right, you are actually practicing good governance.
Yes.
You are even being a good one. You are not only being a good citizen, you are being a good employee.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're also being a good friend to that person.
Yes.
You're also being a good team member.
Yes. You're even improving yourself, because when you're able to call out, this thing you're doing does not make sense. It helps you hold your own self accountable. I don't call this person out. I no go fit they do waiting I tell them me they do. That kind of thing. So you are even improving yourself as a leader doing that.
So that's how you build it. In your professional circle, in your professional world, in your professional life, that's how you build this character of being civic responsibility from little things, right? Questioning little things, questioning the authorities, questioning unethical behavior, and correcting where needed. So.
Excellent, Chima. Thank you so much for coming on this show and sharing your vast knowledge. It's obvious that you do a lot of research, a lot of reading, and that you love this country.
Oh, of course I do.
It's quite obvious.
I do. A lot.
It's obvious.
Right.
Thank you so much. Final words, what you'd like to say to our audience listening?
Oh, we've already said much, right? But I would say to every Nigerian youth listening, we need to, I encourage us, because I'm part of you, to rethink how we engage with governance in our lives, right? You don't need a formal title or a formal role, right? Your voice, your platforms, whether social media, whether art, whether just your daily conversations has power, right? You have to key into this. And when you do engage, when you make this conscious effort to engage, right? You are building this spirit of collective responsibility. And it will actually making you have a lifestyle of a responsible citizen, thereby inculcating good governance and civic responsibility in your daily life and lifestyle. So let us be conscious of what we do. Let us be ethical and conscientious persons in our lives and in everything we do as youths. And it wouldn't be so much of a task living your lives in accordance to your civic duties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chima. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. And there you have it. You know, it starts from the little things. It starts from you. It starts from being intentional with doing the right things at the right time and ensuring that people around you are doing the right things as well. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm sure you got something from our conversations. Once again, my name is Ifunanya Nduka, and this is Youthacy, brought to you by Ready to Talk TV and podcast. Do well to subscribe, like this video, comment, let us know what you're thinking. Bye-bye.
Bye.